My favorite thing about Caribbean Bay was just getting a chance to play in the water like it's meant to be played in. No rules.
My favorite thing about Caribbean Bay was having friends there to watch the kids so Catherine and I could go on rides together.
My favorite thing we did in Caribbean Bay was being all together with the family in the lazy river. My favorite thing at Caribbean Bay was going to the lazy river with Mom and getting ice cream. Yum. My favorite thing in Caribbean Bay in Korea was a big slide that I got to go on my friend with Ate, and it was blue and swirly and green and fast. We are diapers on a plane.
Okay, welcome to episode number 18, week number 8 of our Korean adventures as family traveling. Today we're going to talk about
Caribbean Bay!
Caribbean Bay! The water park here in Korea. There are probably more, but I think it's the water park.
Pretty sure there's two. There's one in Busan, which is opposite end, and now this one.
Yeah, and since we're not going to Busan this trip, we're going to talk about Caribbean Bay.
Caribbean Bay!
There you go. And just to jumpstart this, the highlight of Caribbean Bay was the
Megastorm!
Megastorm! The Megastorm. And so when anyone talks about Caribbean Bay, they're like, you have to ride the Megastorm. But I don't know if anyone knows it's called the Megastorm.
I called it the Hyundai Test Track ride.
Yeah, because it's built by Hyundai.
Yeah, and you can reach speeds of up to 200 kilometers per hour. Maybe it's miles per hour. They had a 200 somewhere, and it's kilometers per hour here in Korea, so take that for what you will.
So in other words, it's super fast.
Super. You have to ride this ride. You have to ride this ride!
Yeah, you have to ride it. I mean, there's no choice.
So we were there with our kids, and there's definitely a height limit. And so we had these awesome friends come with us, Johnny and Ate. So
Johnny and Ate, thank you for watching our kids.
Big
while
props,
we went
mad props. So we got there and immediately we were like, we have to ride this ride. So we wanted to go ride the ride. So we got in line. It was Gabriel, I, and Johnny, and Ate took the kids. And there was a ride wait time of
2 hours. 2 hours. And so we were like...
And you know those are never right. Never right.
Yeah, usually it's longer.
Yeah. So we hopped back out of line. Of course, we have a little baby. I did not think that little baby would be okay. I got back over to Ate, and the baby was actually asleep. So it might have been a good time. But, no matter how good a ride is, I'm just not sure I'm up to waiting 2 hours.
2 hours. No, not going to happen.
So we played around the park, and then we came back. And it was just Gabriel and I, and we had the two little girls. The twins were off with Ate and Johnny riding awesome rides. And the wait time was only 40 minutes. And so we were like...
Let's do it.
You have to ride this ride. So we had a big argument about who got to ride it. And ultimately Gabe won out, and that's because I got to ride the biggest wooden roller coaster in the world at Everland, if you remember back to our first week here. And we did it on day 7. So
yeah, they're very big on the world's biggest stuff here.
Yeah, so what is this? What is this park?
Caribbean Bay is the world's biggest indoor/outdoor
yes.
water park. So of all the water parks that are half indoor and half outdoor, this is the biggest.
It's the biggest. It's got 10 whole water slides between indoor and outdoor. Massive!
10 water slides.
All right, okay. So he hops in line. I go back to the lazy river. In just a few minutes, I met up with Johnny. I was like, Johnny, go jump in line with Gabe because the ride wait time is only 40 minutes. A few minutes later, Ate comes along, and she's like, you have to ride this ride! So, I got out.
Yep. So, the meantime, I'd been waiting in line about a half hour, and the line was progressively getting smaller to the point where pretty much Catherine and Johnny were able to just hop in with me.
Yeah. It was awesome. I actually thought he was going around again because he'd already been there at least 20 minutes, and he was kind of back towards the end. So, Johnny and I slip under the line, and it went fast. I only waited in line for 20 minutes. Yep. So, it was awesome.
And then
What's the big thing about this ride that's like... makes it such a big deal?
So the interesting thing is you have to weigh the proper amount. I think otherwise you'll crash and die.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't skimp on your calories when you come to the park because you have got to weigh enough to propel this ride, but also not die.
Yeah, so you're going down these huge chutes, and then the water's propelling you back up to go up the other side. So I think you have to weigh enough so that either they don't catapult you over too far, or you don't make it up to the top of these banks to keep going up and down this roller coaster. And it's much longer than I actually expected. So the ride itself, as you start going, it's kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You feel like you're like on a Cheerio inside like a bowl. It's so huge.
It is crazy. And then you also described it as like a Super Mario game.
Yeah, like level 4 with the giant level of Super Mario Brothers, you know? It's just crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome. So we get in line. First things, we have got to be weighed. Now, they're not weighing you individually, and there's no number on the scale. They take your party, they put you on a scale, and then they see how many more people you can add. You can only have up to 6 people. We did see some rafts going with just 5, so there's definitely a balance thing. There's a green light or red light. We got the green light, so we got to go ahead. And then what is the next thing we had to do?
You have to make sure you hold on tight.
No, the next thing you have to do is stretch. You always have to stretch in Korea.
I forgot the calisthenics.
Yes, so.
Yes, and
Stretch with us.
Before
Get ready for the ride.
Before you do anything, you gotta pop your knuckles.
Yeah.
You gotta stretch. Yeah, you have to stretch out because
otherwise,
you're probably gonna cramp up and die.
Yeah, probably gonna die.
Happens.
All right, so then you have to hold on.
Then you have to hold on, and they have signs everywhere that say if you do not hold on with 2 hands, we will kick you out of the park. No refund.
Yeah, and you'll die.
Because we really wanted to record it, but we just had one of those lanyard cell phone holders, and Catherine stuck it in her swimsuit, and it ended up like...
I tried doing it right here. It got like zoomed in somehow.
Zoomed in and then filmed the ceiling. We'll
show a little video. But
epic.
This is what will happen if you don't hold on.
Yes. Painful.
Ouch! All right, so this ride is awesome. Like Gabriel said, you are going to go up and down and up and down, and then the big grand finale is the Cone of Death.
Yeah, the Cone of Death. It's like a big ramp up and down. It's like
It's a funnel.
It's a funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a funnel.
So it gets bigger and then goes smaller.
And it like half pipes you up and down.
Yeah.
Towards the end.
Yeah, and we could definitely see the reason for the weight limit on that because we went up so high. There were 5 men in the raft and then me, and we went all the way up both sides, and it was insanity. It was awesome.
And we've been on a lot of similar rides, like Typhoon Lagoon. Some of the other ones at Disney World have similar rides, but it's the speed and craziness of this one, I think, that makes it unique.
Yeah, so I call it the Hyundai Test Track ride because you can reach speeds of up to 200. I don't know if that is kilometers per hour or miles per hour, but it is fast.
But the thing is, 200 is a big number, regardless.
Yeah.
So 200.
Yes.
You go 200.
Yes, it is awesome.
It's like
200.
It's like I Love You 3000.
Yes. Aww.
You'll go 200.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So what else do they have at this park? I mean, that is the killer deal. That is the number one showstopper. That's the reason you go to Caribbean Bay. But like we mentioned, there are about 10 other rides. You've got your standard rides. You've got your ones where you cross your arms and you shoot all the way down and you get a wedgie. You've got your other tube rides. Yeah. And then you've actually got some pretty cool rides. They have a set of 4. They have clown faces. And if you've been on the Disney Magic or you've read about the Disney Magic, we've talked about it on our blog. There's actually a slide on that cruise ship where you stand and the bottom falls out. Yeah. So there's a couple rides like that.
It's like a trap door.
Yeah.
And so it just sends you straight down a 90-degree fall.
Yeah. The cool things about this one is you fall and then you've got to go back up. So that one's also a way ride.
Yeah, it's kind of like a loop-de. It sends you on a loop-de-loo type of thing.
So that one's also a way ride. If you don't weigh enough, you won't make the curve. And we actually saw some people have to get back out of the hatch. So you've got that. And then like every other water park, you've got your standard lazy river. But this is a really cool lazy river. And why is that?
It's the world's longest lazy river.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So it's the longest because why?
Well, I think because it splits up. It goes into the interior and the outdoor side. And it goes a lot of different directions.
Yeah. So you don't have to go inside. You can stay outside if you want to. You can take the route through the inside of the dark caves, or you can remain outside. But it's also really cool because I don't even know that I'd call this a lazy river.
Yeah, it's like a lazy / rapid river.
It's fast, and there are some sections with like rapids, like white water rapids. It gets pretty fast. But the bottom is really slick, and if you put your feet on the bottom, you will be pushed the whole way through, and you cannot stand. You have to really grit your legs in if you want to stand.
So we've been on a lot of lazy rivers. This is probably one of the better ones we've ever
awesome.
been on. The kids loved it. They always wanted to go back to the lazy river.
Yeah, they've got free tubes that just waft down the river for you to use. Another really cool thing that Caribbean Bay has that I have not seen, I don't think at any other water park, are hot tubs.
Oh yeah,
Tons of hot tubs.
I'm sure other parks have, but the hot tubs are like huge here. They have like water back massagers.
Yeah, and it makes sense because
things.
Korea is the land of the jjimjilbang.
Yeah.
So you don't play in water if you don't have a sauna too.
It was a very lounge central. Like everyone was hanging out into it. I want to point out towards the end of the day though that it mostly was full of like teenagers, like boyfriend girlfriends, like making out. It got kind of gross.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's like icky, but it's like. People were either sitting there texting or just like kind of grinding. Just gonna leave it at that.
Well, this is a family-friendly podcast. So, like Gabriel mentioned, they do have these back massagers. So there's some where you sit down, and then they have the jets, but they're not like typical like sauna jets. They're really powerful.
Yeah.
And then they have these shower jets. So if you stood in it, like our kids couldn't stand up. Like it forced them under. I had a really hard time even standing up, but. Man, my shoulders did feel a lot better after being tense and holding babies.
Should point out the hot tubs there too. It seems like in the U.S. and other places they're very like no kids in the hot tubby, like but here they seem to like be. They love
bring them in, yeah, bring them in, yeah. It was way fun. So hot tubs, lazy river, and then they have got a wave pool.
Oh, and this is another world's biggest. Wave pool. It's the highest waves of any other wave pool in the world.
If you have been to Typhoon Lagoon, which is an awesome Disney water park in Florida, they have a wave that rushes at you and pushes you to the end of the pool, and it's about 6 feet tall, the wave. The wave at Caribbean Bay is
2.4 meters.
8.5 feet tall.
It's huge. So they have this big green wave area that you can't stand in when the waves are coming. And that's because it's throwing this wave of people over at you.
Yeah.
So one thing that I noticed, because Catherine, Ate, and Johnny all went out in it, and they were kind of the back end of the green because kids aren't allowed up front. But
kids are allowed up front. They just have to have a life jacket.
Oh, they have to have a life jacket. But they have all these lifeguards with big orange like blocker pushy sticks. And from what I noticed is they all push everyone out of the green. But then, as the wave comes over, they're also, like, bashing everybody on the other side. So it was kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
Yeah. That was awesome. It was super fun. And honestly, I was really regretful that we were at the back end of the wave pool because it would have been super awesome to be at the front. So let's just take a second to talk about swimming culture just for a minute. Swimming culture is unlike anything you've ever seen if you were not raised in an Asian-centric culture. So in America, we all know how to swim, and we swim all the time. Australia is the same. I think Europe's the same. You know, when we went to Annecy, we took a bath every morning in Lake Annecy and started our day that way. Mm-hmm. It's not the same in Asia. Swimming is considered what?
It's a waste of time. It's a useless skill.
Yeah.
You don't make money swimming.
Yeah, right? And you also don't, improve your career. You don't, any of those things. So they don't learn how to swim. So everybody at this water park is wearing life vests. And we don't wear life vests because...
we like to swim.
We know how to swim.
We like to waste our time swimming.
Yes. We have lots of useless skills. And swimming is one of them. So
regardless of age, from 0 to 100, everybody there has a life vest on.
Yes. And they all freak out if you don't have a life vest on. Claire, of course, knows how to swim. She's been swimming since she was, a little baby. She's been proficient since she was 2. And they were freaking out in the lazy river, freaking out in the wave pool.
They were constantly trying to put her back on an inner tube, and she's like screaming, "Let go over me! Let go over me!" So it was hilarious.
So if you go swimming in Korea, you wear a wetsuit, or you wear lots of baggy clothes. You wear a swim cap. You wear goggles. You wear a life vest. Now, fortunately, at Caribbean Bay, we did not see a lot of swim caps or goggles, but definitely life vests and definitely the baggy clothes. I saw several people wearing hoodies.
Yeah.
All right. But in this wave river, or in this wave pool, like he said, they've got those long, they're the life-saving devices, and they're holding them out, to prevent people. So there's this giant 6 foot, 8 foot green painted bottom of the pool that you do not go past. So the waves come, I think, every minute or two. Mm-hmm. And during that minute or two, the lifeguards will blow their whistle and you can go up past the green line if you have a life vest on. If you don't, you have to stay back. And then they'll blow their whistle again. Nobody can go in the green spot. and then they'll blow their whistle again, and then the wave will come. So we were behind the line, and this guy starts coming forward in the no trespassing zone during the no trespassing time, and this lifeguard flips out, and he runs up to him, and he's trying to push him back, and it's loud, and the guy can't understand. So the lifeguard takes his foam pad, wraps it around him, wraps his arm around the guy like he's got to save him. Like,
that's awesome.
It was amazing. So swimming culture is a little bit different, but that's what you can expect when you go to Caribbean Bay.
Yeah, it's more Western than any other swimming activity we've done, which
Here
was
in
great
Korea.
for us.
Yeah. All right, so now let's talk about the indoor part of the park. So the indoor part has a miniature wave pool. It doesn't have huge waves, and those are just constant.
Yeah, it's like a baby wave pool. So it actually is for toddlers and little kids.
You have to be 120 meters to also go past the line. With or without a life jacket. Life jackets were actually not required in that pool, but Eclair, once again, could not go past the line because she was not 120 centimeters tall. So there still are some rules. There was a play area. It had some slides. It has a rope thing. There was a baby toddler pool, and we spent a lot of time in that, and that was really fun. The baby could sit up, and she could play in it, and that went indoor and outdoor. And then there were 2 slides.
Yeah, so they had the 2 tube slides, right?
Well, 2 sets of slides.
Yeah,
so there was a green tube slide that actually went really fast, and you did have to be 120 centimeters for that. And then there were 3 tube slides upstairs. One was a single raft, a double raft, and there was actually a body slide.
Yep. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay, do the diving part.
Okay, and then the other thing they had is a diving hole. We'll call it a hole. It's about this 10-foot diameter diving area, right? And so all the kids were diving in it, and most of the kids, of course, had life vests on that they were diving. But this is an interesting diving because usually you associate diving with, head first, diving into the water. So this was more of a jumping hole because you weren't allowed to jump in head first. And then our kids would kind of like dive straight in with their feet tucked in tight.
We call it the torpedo.
Torpedo, so that they would shoot down into the water. And they kept getting in trouble by the lifeguards, warning them not to go too deep, right? Because they kept telling our kids, if you go below 2.5 meters, it'll hurt your ears really bad. And so they kept giving our kids rules on how to jump into this. So I think
there was like this huge lecture every time they went up to the platform.
And so I think what they actually want your kids to do is wear goggles, life jacket, and do like a belly flop.
Yeah.
So that you don't go, and then kind of like flutter to the side.
Yeah. And this was another really sad thing. I mean, again, like he said, this pool is tiny, and they wouldn't let Eclair jump. And Widmore tried to tell them she could swim. Pie tried to tell them she could swim. Eclair stood there crying, telling them she could swim and stomping her feet. I went over there and said that she could swim, but no, it was not happening.
And Eclair, I think we'll show the video, but she won the cannonball competition when she was 2 years old. In the 6 to 8 year old category.
Yeah.
Come on, let her jump off this.
Let her jump. One thing I will say about the lifeguards at this pool is they take their jobs very seriously. In addition to the wave pool, you can see them, and they kept an eye on your kids. I mean, it was lock and hold, like the whole time they were in the water.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think our kids stood out because they weren't wearing life vests.
And they were wearing American swimsuits, and they could swim.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was a ton of fun. There is a jjimjilbang. At the very end of the park, we all were going to shower, and we were going to get ready. We had a 2-hour subway ride to take home, and...
so we left at the end, and so everyone was leaving the park too. And much like anywhere in Korea, the bathroom etiquette is very much more comfortable. Everybody showers at the end too, and they're very comfortable being in the nude.
Yeah, so you go in, you're going to change, and there is just a line around the corner.
Yeah, of just nude people.
Naked.
Yeah, and so we just left because I didn't want to stand naked in a line for an hour.
Yeah, I just didn't want to wait. Yeah. I mean,
it was mostly the line.
I know I saw how long the women were taking to shower at the jjimjilbang when we went, and I was just certainly not going to wait for that giant line of women to shower before going home. Like, we were ready to go.
So that kind of ended our day.
Another thing I just want to point out, just bathrooms are different here. Like, if you go to a bathroom here, you've got the men on the one side, and you've got the women on the one side, and if you don't look towards the men's side because you can see all the urinals and all the men peeing in them. They have the corners so
She's
you can't.
always looking.
So you can't see that. Well, it's just like natural. It's like, is this the men's side or is this the women's side? Make sure before you go up, you know which side you're on, because you will see the men standing at the urinals. And
so if you like to sneak a peek like Catherine.
You can't see anything. There are walls. It's just, you know what they're doing.
You can take a guess.
All right.
Okay. So I think that's Caribbean Bay. I think some things to point out. Food. What about the food there?
The food. Stinky diaper.
All we tried were the hamburgers and chicken burgers.
There was no hamburger.
Really,
there was a mushroom burger, a shrimp burger, and a spicy chicken burger.
Really bad popcorn chicken.
Oh, this stuff, you bit into it, and I don't know what it was. It just looked like a mash in there, and it didn't taste good.
So if anyone wants to tell us what you think of like the restaurants there, we didn't try those.
Yeah, what I wish we had done is just got some snacks. They had squid, again, very popular theme park snack in Korea. They had churros, they had ice cream. Claire and I did get some ice cream. They have these crazy cones with Fruit Loops and I think a marshmallow mixture on the outside of the cone. And the ice cream was okay. You know, it was ice cream. It wasn't the
ice cream, corn dogs, all that stuff.
It was hard to scoop.
It's the exact same stuff they have at Everland, which makes sense because it is Everland.
Same park.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I heard they have an all-you-can-eat buffet there.
Yeah, which would have been fun, but we paid to go swim.
Yeah. So it would have taken,
All right. So location of Everland Waterpark is right next to Everland Theme Park, which we did not put together when we first went, but Everland Theme Park, Everland Waterpark, right next to each other.
Yep, and right next to each other, about an hour and a half from where we are, it's just outside of Seoul.
Yeah.
And technically it is in Seoul, but it's outside of Seoul.
Yeah, and one thing we found out this trip is you can take a direct bus. So we ended up taking a taxi just because out of ease. But if you go to the Incheon bus terminal, which is just a few stops away from Technopark, you can get a direct bus that doesn't make any stops, and it goes directly to the very front of the park.
Which was awesome.
It was only $6.
It saved us like an hour of travel.
So
to get there, we
much
took a
time.
taxi. To point out prices too, it's about 80,000 won, which is about $80 US. But if you're a foreigner like we are, you can go on Trazy or Klook or Voyagin. One of those and get a 50% discount.
Yes, check out our website.
So
you can get a discount code through there.
Yes, check it out. Do not pay full price if you're a foreigner.
Yes.
Korea is one of those weird places where you have to pay more if you're a local.
Yeah, they definitely need the tourism. So, yes, don't pay full price. And so we paid about $42 American?
$42 American because it's the gold season.
Yes, there are different seasons. You can go, if we had gone in May when we first got here, which it was plenty warm to go, we would have only paid $25.
But at half the price. They're also open in the winter. That's why they have the indoor section.
Yeah.
Which I wish they would do in Utah and some other places.
Why doesn't Seven Peaks do that? Get a clue!
Yeah, build half of your park indoors, half of outdoors, and at least you can make money in the winter.
Yeah. And we would have a place to swim.
Yep.
So, all right. So I think that was it. Caribbean Bay is definitely a clean diaper, and it was awesome. I definitely wish that we would have sprung for the life jackets. I think we could have done the wave pool, and then there was also a floating bouncy house obstacle course over an entire meter of water.
Yep.
But you were required to wear life jackets, or you could not go on it.
Yeah, so to point that out, you can buy life jackets everywhere. All the department stores, Costco, everyone has them. We're anti-life jackets, but you kind of need them at Caribbean Bay.
Yeah, and I can definitely see the point of them in the wave pool. Not the obstacle course, but the wave pool is pretty forceful, and an 8.5-foot wave is pretty big. Just in general, we don't agree with life vests because we want to teach our children that water isn't a toy. It's something to be enjoyed, but it also can be dangerous.
So to correct that, not that our kids need the life vest, but they would have been able to, but they wouldn't have been restricted to do half of the stuff in the park.
Yes, precisely. So one thing we didn't mention is there are a couple kids play areas, but a Claire or 4-year-old didn't enjoy either of them. They were a little bit too baby. Yep. So keep that in mind. 4-year-old couldn't go on the big rides, couldn't go on the little rides, weren't enjoyable enough. So I don't think I would recommend this park if you have children under 120 centimeters, unless you're only paying about $25 and then they have a pool to swim in. So something else to keep in mind.
That being said, she loved the lazy river.
Until she got too tired.
And she loved the hot tub. And the thing is she loves to swim. And so that let her actually swim and have fun. And they have this music blasting the whole time. And so she was just dancing.
It was way fun.
We are a big swimming family. And so that's one thing that's been kind of hard in Korea, is finding places to swim like a Westerner.
Yeah.
And so this was a breath of fresh air on our trip.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We're still going to go to another water park. It's called the One World Water Park, if I remember correctly, and it's on floors 4 and 5 of a giant building, and it's in downtown Seoul. And then we're still going to check out Woongjin. We've been trying to check that out. It is called a water dosi, or a play dosi, so it's an indoor playground. They also have indoor skiing, so we're going to try and check that out. So if you find just a regular pool to swim in, it's not going to be like Western swimming. If you find a water park to swim in, you can pretty much assume it will be more like Western swimming with a few caveats, like you need to have a water vest. So when we head to the other water parks, will we be taking life vests with us?
Probably not. Yes.
I thought we would, just so we would be able to experience everything. We'll see, I guess.
What, rent them there?
No, we'll see how much they're at the store.
Oh, we're about,
Yeah, we are about to go home, but
so,
we'll see.
Yeah, so thanks for watching. Next week, pretty big next week, we are going to
North Korea!
The Olsen clan is going to North Korea.
At least within 137 meters of it.
So we hear about it all over the news, at least in the States. They talk about it fondly here.
Yeah.
We're going to cover that next week. The DMZ, Demilitarized Zone.
DMZ, Zorathan Station, Propaganda Village, Third Infiltration Tunnel, all that good stuff.